Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We are going to talk about attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and what that looks like and what that might mean. What is ADHD? So, it is a neurodevelopmental disorder, and it's characterized by persistent patterns of inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. Every child in the world has some level of inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. We all engage in things that look inattentive, things that look hyperactive, etc. When is it ADHD? When it impacts daily functioning. And that's a very key thing, especially with kids, because lots of kids are inattentive and hyperactive. There's no child that isn't inattentive and hyperactive in some situations and impulsive. So if it's going to impact school, work, and social settings, then it is ADHD. It's common in children and continues into adulthood. We have 3 different types: predominantly inattentive, predominantly hyperactive, impulsive, and combined, meaning they exhibit both. That is from our DSM classification. Common symptoms are difficulty sustaining focus, frequently losing items, misplacing or forgetting everyday objects, trouble following instructions, difficulty remembering and executing multi-step directions, constantly moving and fidgeting, excessive talking, interrupting, and impulsive decision making. So causes and risk factors. So genetics are a big one here. More and more research is coming out. If you have a parent with ADHD, you're much more likely to have ADHD yourself. It's not all genetics, but there's a strong genetic factor. Brain structure and functioning. When we're starting to do more brain scanning, there is differences. So it is dopamine regulation is kind of the key, and how your brain takes in and lets go of dopamine. It does affect this. Like what that means as far as like who gets, like how can we figure out who is going to have this? We're not really there yet. Is there a way to fix it? That's what people, that's where a lot of this brain stuff might be going, but we're not there. All we know is that there are brain differences. Prenatal factors. So there's some things that have popped as if a mom does this, then they're more likely. One is smoking or drinking. Toxins really increase the risk. And then there's a lot of environmental factors. So lead exposure, poor nutrition, or early trauma can all be factors. When they're kiddos, they struggle to focus, organize in the classroom. It mostly affects academic behavior, but also can affect social. They can have difficulty making and keeping friends. As teenagers, we have increased risks of academic challenges. School has gotten harder, so they struggle even more. And then we have a lot of impulsive decision making that can occur. In teenagers, anyone with a teenager will say, what are you most afraid of? Their impulsive decisions, making the wrong decision, getting in a car after you had a beer, things like that. So it's people with ADHD may even struggle more with those impulsive decisions. And then adults, they often have difficulty managing time, staying organized, and meeting deadlines. They could have challenges in relationships and work. Okay, so what's ADHD and what's just typical? ADHD is not just these things that I said. The symptoms must be persistent, pervasive, and impair daily life. And my eldest is kind of on the fence with this one. He has some impulsive behaviors and hyperactive, no inattention, but it doesn't affect his daily life too much. He does well in school. There's not a lot of complaints about it. When he comes home, we can manage it. So I would say he does not meet the criteria, even though you might see him doing impulsive things. I think a lot of parents are sort of in that boat. It just doesn't quite affect the child's daily life. Those kids might still need support in other ways, but we need to make this line where it's affecting the daily life or not. It also has to appear in multiple settings. That's a problem with my child. He shows more at home than at school. Kids do. They hold it together for school because that's the high risk environment, the environment where you could go to the principal's office, you'll get bad grades, all that. And then at home, there's no principle here. I don't do punishment. So at home, they let it all go because it's a lower risk environment. And so again, that would not be ADHD when, if they were showing that impulsivity across settings and that hyperactivity, it would be ADHD. And we really need it to interfere with daily responsibilities and functioning. So there's some co-occurring conditions. Anxiety has been shown to co-occur with ADHD, so worry, trouble sleeping. Learning disabilities also co-occur. ODD, which is difficulty following rules and arguing. So ODD is what we say for little kids, oppositional defiance disorder. And when they get older and start getting in trouble with the law, we call it conduct disorder. So they're similar things. We're using them for different age groups, essentially. And then ADHD is also co-occurring with autism spectrum disorders. Treatment and management. So we want to do behavioral therapy. So parent training, classrooms, accommodations, and executive functioning coaching all are part of behavior therapy. Medication is always an option. So it's stimulants is what we use. Typically, there's some other stuff out there now that I've heard really great things about, but traditionally it's always been stimulants, and most kids or adults taking medication for ADHD, it's going to be a stimulant still. Adderall, Ritalin. There's a couple out there right now, and they come up with new ones a lot. A lot of times they're actually the similar meds, just coming out with a different name or a non-generic. And then there's these non-stimulants that are out there now. And then there's educational support, so individual IEPs and 504 plans to give the kids accommodations in the classroom. So typically, if it's only ADHD, there's no co-occurring condition, that child is going to need accommodations, not modifications. Their intelligence should be average or higher. A lot of times it's really high intelligence. Like my little guy is super smart. It's just that impulsivity kind of can't get in the way, but he's doing well in school. Because they only need accommodations and don't need modifications as much, a lot of times we put them on a 504 plan. And so IEPs, what you need to know about IEPs versus 504 plans it's two different laws that govern how our school supports kids with disabilities. One is a law that's funded, and those are the IEP plans. And then there's another law that isn't funded, so you don't get funding for it, but they're called 504 plans. And those 504 plans could come with someone to a workplace. They could continue with you as an adult. Well, IEPs end at age 22 or when you graduate. So there's also some lifestyle strategies like exercise, sleep, structured routines that really help. Like, for example, mine play very intense sports. Both of my kids do, but we did it especially for that older one, which has helped so much to have that exercise outlet. Helps him moderate his behavior a lot. So there's lots of ways to help these kids. Those lifestyle strategies any parent can do with their kid, and it can really help a lot. ADHD is caused by bad parenting. No, it's not. It's, you got to understand it's always chicken or egg. You have a child who's a little bit more difficult, so you make some unique decisions parenting wise. That happens all the time. If you're ever thinking like, oh, they're just not parenting, well, just think maybe the child was difficult from the start and they've just tried a bunch of stuff and now they're trying things outside the box because they're desperate for something. ADHD is a childhood disorder? No. It often continues into adulthood. People with ADHD are lazy or unmotivated? No. They have these challenges. Executive functioning is really hard. So getting to that higher level thinking, so like the problem solving, the organizing materials so you know which step to take first, all those things are very difficult. And so it makes them look lazy, but really they just get overwhelmed with too much information and things that have multiple steps. Strengths, creativity is often associated with this. So they can be very creative and they can really think outside the box. And so they can be very innovative. They can also hyper focus, which is the opposite. But when they like something, they really hyper focus on it. They have high energy and enthusiasm. It brings excitement to tasks and group activities. For example, mine is in water polo, and these little guys are all playing water polo. Water polo is really hard. You have to tread water for long periods of time. And his peers get pretty tired in these games quickly. He does not get tired. He can keep going and going. He can play 3 games back to back and have the energy for it. So that's a strength, and that's how we're trying to utilize his strength in a positive way so he gets peer acceptance and coach acceptance from it. There's things in this world where a person needs a lot of energy, and so you can gear people with ADHD towards those activities, and it can be really positive for them. It's a lifelong disorder. It's not going to go away. Symptoms can vary, so they can be very mild to very severe, and they require individual treatment because of that. And with proper support and strategies, they can be successful in academics, careers, and relationships. So finding the proper way to support them. It's a lifelong neurodevelopmental disorder that affects individuals' attention, impulsivity, and hyperactivity, and can significantly impact daily functioning and requires tailored treatments.